and the work that I do, trying to create a network of like-minded people or folks that care about the work that I love to do here, which is both promote technology, but also volunteerism and philanthropic work in our communities.
The role the Palestinian American community in the United States plays to raise awareness about the Palestinian cause and the Palestinian people as a nation whose right to freedom, justice, and self-determination is denied under the Israeli occupation is of high importance. Especially, we have many Palestinians living in the United States and contributing to the everyday life of the American society in the different aspects of life. To talk more about that, I have with me Palestinian American philanthropist, technologist, and entrepreneur, Mr. Nader Barakat, who is in a visit to his hometown these days. Welcome to our program, Mr. Nader. And if you tell us and our audience a little bit about you as a Palestinian living in the United States and working there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Osama. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I appreciate the invite to talk about my modest personal journey to the United States, but more importantly, my work outside my engineering background, my technical background in political activism, but also philanthropic work that I've done, and I'm doing more so as of late. My name is Nader Barakat from the town or city of Anabta. This is an amazing town that I'm sure some of you may have heard of, but if you haven't, please visit.
Sure.
It's along the highway between Tulkarem and Nablus. My journey to the United States started in 1979. I can't believe it's been almost 43 years now and counting. But it's been a journey of an amazing challenges, but also a wonderful success. And I'm proud of that. And I'm sure my Palestinian comrades, my family in particular, are very proud of that, proud of that outcome and journey. I went to the United States, as I mentioned, 1979. I achieved my bachelor's degree in electronics, electrical engineering in particular. I came in '84 back home here in Tanab, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get a job, so I headed back to get my master's degree, which I did 2-3 years down the road. Worked for 21 years as an engineer, hardware designer in the electronics field, the communications field in particular. And then about 16 years ago, a few of my colleagues, my business partners, co-founded a company that we that designs and manufactures asset tracking, fleet management, GPS tracking solutions that have done an amazing work in the past few years, which we've finally exited, and we sold a very lucrative deal that we're so happy about and proud of. The company had roughly 75 employees and sold to this international company, and now it's on its journey to further growth and opportunities.
Yeah, you're talking about a long time away from the homeland, but of course you visit your hometown from time to time, and today you are in Anibta near Tulkarem in Northwest Bank, enjoying your time with the members of your family, your relatives, and your friends. Tell me how you feel coming here to Palestine.
Wonderful. Thank you for the question. I believe I belong, even though for many Palestinians, I'm sure they can all tell you that we're physically there in the United States in our own lives and with our families, but emotionally and spiritually, we're attached. There's a virtual umbilical attachment that we have with the homeland, with our families here, with the Palestinian people and our communities here. So my sense of belonging, if you will, always draws me to come home with my family, even when my 3 wonderful daughters were in their early months, and beyond that, almost every 2-3 years I would come here. As of late, however, the past 7 to 10 years, I've I come and visit the family here in Palestine every single year for at least 2-3 months. I'm very fortunate rather to be able to do so because of my, I would say, my financial independence at this point, and my ability to take time off away from work, albeit I'm semi-retired now after I exited the business of the company that I co-founded. So I am very blessed to be able to visit for many weeks and perhaps months
Yes.
here in Palestine.
Yes, and Mr. Nader, now from Palestine to the United States, and let's talk about the activities of the Palestinian community in the United States that at the legislature and political levels. We see that there is a rise in the Palestinian American community activism in this regard. If you tell us how we can promote this spirit with the Palestinian community there in order to have impact on the American policy when it comes to the cause of the Palestinian people and their plight under the occupation?
Well, great question, of course. So here's the challenge. There are many Arab American, Muslim American groups in the United States. Some of them are promoting social and cultural aspects of our Palestinian and Arab identity. And more as of late, however, political activism and lobbying has become more and more present in the political arena in the United States. There are several lobbying groups that are coalescing and collaborating on bringing about the story of Palestinians under occupation, promoting the Palestinian cause, lobbying local and state and federal or state officials rather for the cause of Palestine, and promoting and advocating for universal human rights for Palestinians, and more importantly, end of Israeli occupation of our homeland.
Yes, and Mr. Nader, when we talk about the Palestinian people in the United States and everywhere, there are many common things between them and other communities within the United States, like, for example, the colored community, when we talk about the struggle for justice and for equality. So how the Palestinians make use of that and bring people from these communities to support the Palestinian cause?
Okay, so there are several groups, as I mentioned earlier, that are working at the grassroots level.
Yeah.
There are also coalitions with African American, Latino Americans, and other groups to support Palestinian demand for universal human rights and to uphold international laws here in the occupied territories. People of different backgrounds are supporting the Palestinians' demand with their state representative to promote and support Palestinian demands for independence and end of Israeli occupation. These at the grassroots levels, and more importantly on the colleges and campuses throughout the United States, the story is heard over and over, and our amazing young Palestinian Americans, Arab Americans, and their supporters from different coalitions and groups are very active on U.S. campuses, and we see the fruits of that almost on a daily basis in terms of advocating and supporting programs and projects on campus and beyond to advocate for Palestinian rights. So this movement is on the rise, and it's spreading, because again, working at the grassroots level is what ultimately gets you the results that you so desire or strive for.
Yeah, and Mr. Nader, the line between solidarity, equality, and philanthropy is very thin, if there is any, in fact. And you philanthropists, so if you tell us about the activities in this regard, particularly, especially we know that the situation in Palestine is very difficult in terms of economy and other aspects of life, and philanthropy is like necessary for the Palestinians and for other people, maybe where you live?
Well, I can certainly talk about this. Personally, let me speak about myself.
Yes.
Since my semi-retirement and exiting from the company that I co-founded, I have a lot more time now to devote a lot of time and energies towards charitable work, philanthropic work, most mainly here in Palestine, amongst our most dispossessed, most vulnerable people, and in particular in Gaza as well. I work with several charitable organizations, nonprofit organizations that are 501(c)(3). These are that's the United States government's accreditation of nonprofit organizations that can operate and provide support for the needy. Personally, I'm involved in two major nonprofit organizations. ANERA, which stands for American Near East Refugee Aid. I've supported them for many years, but I'm now on their board of directors, heavily involved with their strategy, program executions here in the West Bank, Gaza, but also in refugee camps in Jordan and Lebanon. I'm a strong supporter of ANERA, and I obviously promote their success stories and many projects that they do to help the needy here in our areas here in Palestine and both West Bank and Gaza. And I obviously solicit my friends and colleagues to support ANERA. The other nonprofit that I support is Palestine Foundation. Again, their main mission and vision is to support sustainability for Palestinians in the refugee camps and communities throughout Gaza, West Bank, and as well as Lebanon even. So I'm very proud of that work, of those organizations and my association with them, and the amazing work that they do that is very impactful and serving their beneficiaries.
Yes, my final question to you, Mr. Nader, the most interesting thing, the most interesting story that you had during this visit to your hometown, to Palestine, that you're going to talk about to your friends and your colleagues when you're back to the United States?
Sure. Yeah. So every visit I have here, and as I mentioned earlier, I spend roughly 2-3 months here. Every visit has its own experiences, stories, and but more importantly, it's my continued association and bonding with my people here, with my communities, and the work that I do, trying to create a network of like-minded people or folks that care about the work that I love to do here, which is both promote technology, but also volunteerism and philanthropic work in our communities. So these are the stories, and there are many of them that I continue to push and promote, and I'm close to also getting involved in some of investments that I believe will also promote technology to our homeland here. So I'm working at multiple levels with people that also have the same passion and goals towards bringing technology and creating jobs for our people here in Palestine.
Yeah, Mr. Nader Barakat, Palestinian American technologist, philanthropist, and entrepreneur. It has been a great honor having you on our program, and thank you. Wish you a nice stay with the family and with the friends.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the opportunity. Take care.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, and from you, Usama Nazal. Have a nice time.